I'm fortunate enough to be in the office of Honorable Charles Boimah Blake Sr. He's the head of Diaspora Affairs at the Foreign Ministry. Could you please give me highlights of your office and what it is that you're trying to achieve?
Well, thank you, Mr. Moore, for the honor and the privilege of giving me this live interview. The Diaspora Office is set up to serve primarily as a bridge between returnees and residents. Over the years, as you know, because of our political instability and all of the strife and wars and everything else, we've had a massive exodus of our population. We've had a massive brain drain. And so what this office does is try to mitigate a lot of those losses by bridging the gap in terms of providing services that those in the diaspora might need, making the proper connections, and as we did in the recently held annual return, coordinate programs to sit returnees and residents at the same table and discuss whether it's investment opportunities, whether it's educational opportunities, whether it's other social opportunities or even political opportunities, because both parties are pretty relevant and affected by all of the decision making. So this office coordinates all of the social, political, and economic issues related to members of the diaspora and Liberian residents. And diaspora, by definition, is for all people outside of their homeland, whether by force or by choice.
That leads into my next question, because you know the bulk of Liberians that are outside of Liberia are in the U.S. So what efforts are being made to make sure that you stay engaged with people outside of the U.S., in other parts of the world, where, as we know, because of the war, a lot of Liberians had to go to different countries in Europe and other places that were open to accepting refugees. There's a whole generation of Liberians. So what is being actively done from your end to engage with those people?
We've reached out to, there are mega organizations such as EULA, the Union of Liberian Association in the Americas. Then there's the European Federation of Liberian Associations. There's similar organizations in Asia and in other parts of the world. We've reached out to all of those organizations. We've had official engagements. EULA actually paid an official visit to Liberia. They sat in this very office. We coordinated some of the meetings, including meetings with the president, the vice president, the speaker. EULA is now on a second venture. As you know, EULA and other organizations spearheaded the movement for dual citizenship. And so now they're on the next level of the right to vote outside of the US. So this office engages in those organizations in other parts of the world as a connection to, as they serve as the mediator or as a connection point to reach out to residents in those communities. However, there are other plans we have of reaching beyond those organizations to see how we can get Liberians abroad to start coming back home. As you mentioned, generations there now, as you know, even with dual citizenship laws, there has to be a declaration at a certain point. There are Liberians in other parts of the world now that if we don't have embassies or missions close to them, that have an issue with having their children take on other citizenship and not even having a choice for Liberia because we don't have a medium through which they can express these intents. So we're trying to reach out to build a system that we can reach out across the world for Liberians everywhere to be able to reach out to a diaspora office and express all of their concerns and interests.
As I walk around the streets of Liberia, I see so many young Liberian men and women who have skills, but there's no opportunity. And I have my friends, they get back to me and they're like, Derek, what can we do to reinvest in Liberia? One of the biggest roadblocks for Liberians who want to come and invest is the red tape. The different people that you have to go through just to get something done. I give you an example. In Rwanda, you land in Rwanda, in 2 hours, you can get a business license. The whole goal is to make our family and friends financially independent And if we get an opportunity to open up a business that allows us to hire our own family members and hope to expand to hire other Liberians and give people an opportunity to get away from this dependency on government. So if you can expand on any strategies that are being used with this office reaching within the government to see how you can make it easier for people who want to invest, come back home and open up a business. Please expand on that. That would be
Absolutely.
great.
First of all, a lot of people outside of Liberia don't even know that right now, as of now, we have a one-stop shop to registering your business. The Liberian Business Registry is a one-stop shop. You go in there. Everything is done there. Now, it may not be in 2 hours as it's done in Rwanda, but it can be done within a day or two.
Who's the person in charge of that?
I believe, not sure of the name right now, but I'll research it before we're done.
Okay.
Beyond that, there are many Liberians making strides. I just came back from the States on a work trip. A part of my work assignment when I went around the U.S. Recently was to find Liberian business people that were going to participate in the just ended annual return. We wanted them to come and tell their stories, how they impact employment and other things here, and what are the challenges that they went through. There's a young man, Charles, from Minnesota, who has a rice farm in District 5 in Bum County. Very interesting story. Young man has never been to Liberia. He tried a couple of times, it didn't work with his family. And the third time around, they found the right management team. He now produces country rice. I personally buy rice from him every month as a way of
I'm actually related to him.
See how small the world is.
Yeah, call him Phoebe Ham, and that's
Very
our
good.
family.
Very good. So I was amazed. I was blown away by this young man's story. How committed he was to keep trying until he finally got it right. There are other Liberians there. There's the one with the biggest Liberian store in Philadelphia. What's my man? Waterside Market.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about. Yes. So he is now building a huge processing plant here now so that he will be able to export most of these things from here to the U.S. and solve the problem of Liberian stores over there having to get a lot of these products. So there are people out there making strides. It's not easy to do, as you know. We're still rebuilding systems. We have basic challenges with power. We have a lot of challenges. So it's not an easy formula to say we can just use the magic wand and all those things will go away. But little by little, as we address the government on these red tape, the government has been open. His Excellency President Joseph Boimah Blake and the Vice President and the Office of the Vice President has opened the doors to any assistance that they can give to the members of the diaspora. Just recently, the entire group that was here, the President spent at least 4 different days engaging with members of the diaspora, expressing his intent to free the country up and reverse this brain drain and bring back all of our professionals and all of our experts back to the country. The Vice President's office even made a very magnanimous offer that's the major challenge in the West. For example, if you wanted to donate medical supplies and you were able to negotiate a container full of supplies, you have challenges with storage over there, and then you have challenges with shipping and clearing. The office has agreed to help in any way that they can. If you inform them adequately and go through all the proper steps, they will help you either with clearing or with shipping or either way that you require the help. So that's a big step from what we had before. As you know, when I was in the States, I worked with a lot of these charity organizations.
That's correct.
Where we raised a lot of money, got a lot of material to donate, and then you had the problems of cost of storage, cost of shipping. When you get here, you get no duty-free privileges, you have to deal with all of the cost of clearing and all of that. They're now willing to step in and assist as best as possible, as long as we can demonstrate that there's actual charity donation for the people of Liberia. Beyond that, there are several programs in this annual return that address some of the social issues. There's always been this conflict with returnees and residents. Sometimes we simply misunderstand each other. You know, a lot of them believe that returnees come back only to take away opportunities from them. Returnees come back and feel superior to them. Returnees come back and returnees have these walls. But a lot of times it only requires a conversation, because what they don't understand is when you stay away for a while, you develop different standards. So it doesn't mean that you feel that you're different. You've just gotten accustomed to different standards. So when you come back and they're applying local standards and you resist it, and they think you feel differently. So we needed to have that conversation. So we had something called a roundtable conversation where people sat across the table, palava hut style, and had a chance to express to each other how they felt about, you know, these situations. That was excellent. We had an investment forum where people from the diaspora sat there with local investors to talk about how they could create some type of synergy, what companies over there would need from people over here, that they could build this bridge and then benefit each other. We also had, we were planning what didn't happen this year that we hope will happen next year, and that would have been the political icing on the cake, was what we called a one rally, where all of Liberia would have been reflected in one march, where we wanted from the executive to the legislative to the judicial to the county administrators to the different political parties, everybody represented in one united front, marching to demonstrate a one Liberia. We did not succeed this year because of all of the different challenges. But we're hoping that next year we can get that. That would be the home run. But we were able to get some singles, some doubles, and some triples this year, you know, using baseball metaphor. But it was great. It was a great start. And next year it'll be the Diaspora annual return. We're removing the Diaspora Liberians annual return, and because it's no longer just dedicated to Liberians. We came across this year in this going event, we came across some non-Liberians that have been here for decades, that have made meaningful contributions. And we need to find a way, which is, you know, the role of the foreign ministry, we need to find a way to capture some of these people. And, you know, like everywhere around the world, America is #1 for capturing great talent, great expertise, and owning it, and owning them. We need to find a way to start to do that, so that Liberia benefits and they don't come spend all their time here and feel like foreigners forever. So we need to expand beyond this notion of just a traditional Liberian. We have 2nd generation, 3rd generation, 4th generation Liberians out there that are doing well. Some industries in America you go into and you find out that the owner or the top executive there is a Liberian or has Liberian, you know, lineage, and you're amazed. But all in all, this office needs to have a system through which we can all first identify, then quantify, and then qualify. And so that is the goal for this year. This year is to develop a system through which we can identify, quantify, and then qualify. And that way we know we can make informed decisions for the unit, not just emotional or off-the-cuff decisions on what we do, but we now have scientific data on how to go about targeting things that we want to target.
That's excellent, because then you have a matrix of measuring whether you're being successful or not. Exactly. And I like the fact that you mentioned about other people outside of our community, because that will help with a collaborative effort of having both Liberians and others who are not Liberians working together for a common goal. Now, one of the issues you mentioned was when people come from the States, you have a different set of standards. And when you're in the States, you go to a seminar and they talk about being the unicorn in the room, meaning you dare to be different. And there's always a lot of pushback, because people have the saying in Liberia, well, we've always done it this way. And as soon as you bring new ideas, everyone thinks that you're trying to belittle them as opposed to trying to improve them. As you know from your vast experience, competition breeds excellence. So we need a huge paradigm shift within the offices of ministries like this to be accepting of people who bring new ideas from outside. So what is being done with reference to opening up the minds of the people that you work with every day, that look, it's okay to be different. We have an opportunity to share and have collaborative efforts from people with new ideas that are coming in to merge with the people here.
First of all, I thank Her Excellency, Madam Sarah Beslonati, for having the foresight to choose me to head this role. The position has been, it existed, and then it was transferred to the Ministry of State. In her wisdom and in consultation with the President, they decided that we would reactivate this office. And and I am thankful that she saw that I had the unique skill set to reactivate this office. In terms of being a change agent, I'm thankful that internally, even working with other deputy ministers and assistant ministers, directors and assistant directors in here, anywhere you walk in this building now, I don't have a name anymore. Everybody calls me Diaspora. I have positively infected everyone with the concept and how I work. You know, I use my exceptional social skills to bring people to understand how I work. And sometimes it's not about telling them that what they're doing is wrong. It's letting them see you as you lead by example. It's letting them see how you do it right. And so a lot of them have gotten to understand the way I work. And so I don't get that pushback. You know, as I run this office and I deal with a lot of issues with, as I say, I'm the bridge between the returnees and the residents. I sometimes see why there's conflict, because some of the things that we don't do in other places, we feel too comfortable to do at home, and that's on the returnees side. And so for the resident believes that you're only doing it because I'm a resident, you know. So that's why I said we need to continue to have these conversations. Sometimes we don't compare apples with apples, right? We come from a system where everything is correct, where everything is standard, where everything on one side of the equation is even. And then we come to another side where everything is not even, but we expect to receive the same results. And sometimes that's unfair in the evaluation. So sometimes we have to adjust our lenses, and that's not lowering your standard. That's just a recognition of where you are, right? And there are times when, yes, as a people, we're used to doing the wrong thing. And so sometimes changing to the right thing, change is always resisted. Right. Until people begin to see positive results. I went to a seminar in Abuja, and as I was giving my presentation, I told the story of, we're talking about how diaspora has affected the world. And the story of Liberia is in essence the story of what the whole concept of diaspora is. A group of Africans that were taken away from Africa, whether by choice or by force, because some say some people went on business ventures, whatever the story is, but they were taken away, went to a foreign land. Years later, came back to form a country, and it was returnees that formed what today is the country, Liberia. Yet, it took a country formed by returnees almost 200 years to agree to dual citizenship, when newer countries had caught on to that concept long before. So this concept of returnees versus resident is not new or unique only to Liberia. But for us, it is somewhat more complicated because we don't sit down and resolve. All of our issues are swept under the rug and, you know, just forget it. It is that just forget it that causes us to never solve problems. So because we perpetuate our problems, we just continue to go in this vicious cycle. So that's why I believe it took us that long. However, when people from the diaspora started to make positive impact, and I mean tangible, quantifiable impact, such as now we only capture remittances. But when people started to hear that diaspora contributions were exceeding $500 million, oh, the mindset of resisting members of the diaspora started to change. There was a referendum here that was voted down. Fast forward, it came up again to have the change made, and it's a popular move now. I'm saying that to say that when people see positive results, people's minds can change. So if you want to be that change agent, you have to demonstrate things that yield positive results that people can see and relate to, and then they begin to emulate those positive moves.
Fantastic. I mean, it's just been really interesting speaking with you because I can see that you got your hand on everything that's happening. And as you know, you mentioned your social skills, and a lot of people sometimes come across as stiff personalities, unapproachable. And when people find it easy to come and talk to you, it's easier for them to discuss the kind of problems that they're being faced with. I know one of the biggest issues was dual citizenship, and that people in the States now have the opportunity to do that now. Can you name one or two advantages to having a Liberian passport and a U.S. passport? What difference does it make to someone in the States who already has a U.S. citizenship?
Okay. So if you're in the U.S. now with your U.S. passport and you don't have a Liberian passport, in order for you to come to Liberia, you need to get a visa. It costs you anywhere from, I guess, 150 to about 200 or 250, depending on the length of the visa you want. Excuse me. Having dual citizenship eliminates the need for a visa because you would be coming with your Liberian passport. You would show your Liberian passport as a proof of entry, proof of eligibility to enter Liberia. So that's one aspect. In Liberia, opening bank accounts, registering your business, all of the benefits that you need as a citizen, you would be able to get with your citizenship that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get legally with your with your U.S. passport.
Correct.
So, and for people like us that were in and out, it was such a hassle to have to get a visa, come here, and then if you want to go to other West African countries, then you use your Liberian book. And then if you had to go back to the U.S., then you had to use your U.S. book or your green card. It was too much of a hassle. Now it's a seamless process, just like any other airport in the world. You can show both passports, and they take the one that they need, they stamp the one they need, and you move on. So it's a huge burden that was lifted. Quick additional note to that: the House recently removed the limitations they had put on that bill. That act had some major limitations that you couldn't hold certain offices, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. That was recently removed, those limitations. So, good things take time to happen, but like I say, as we demonstrate goodwill and as the people see tangible results, then they're open to continue to make positive changes.
And I mean, I can definitely say I benefited. When I was here in January, my wife hadn't been home for almost 38 years when we left in 1986. And we both went through the process, professionally done, easy to go through. We were able to both get our Liberian passports. And I can tell you, it is seamless. Now you want to go get a license to do business or generate income for your family members. The fact that you actually feel that you belong to your own country. You're walking around with a U.S. passport. It's not the same as walking around with your Liberian passport. Absolutely. So I encourage all of the guys out there, man, come back home, come visit, come try to invest, and also make sure you get your Liberian passport. It's actually easier than you think. As far as I'm concerned, this has been a fantastic interview where I've gotten a lot of insight into where you're going with reference, and I'm really excited that you plan to have this annual event.
Oh, it'll be every year.
What would you say about getting some business people involved with reference to the collaborative effort we were talking about. We have people outside the community, but what about people who know that if we can get more Liberians here from diaspora, that their businesses are going to do better? So has there been any outreach to businesses with reference to that?
Yes, so there are some projects that we also are working on for fiscal year 25. Some of these cooperative projects are, for example, a medical exchange. We're working on a project, and it's still in the works, but I can give you an idea of the concept. The concept is to fill the gap with hospitals. Many hospitals here on the weekends don't have doctors present. It's because many of the doctors own their own hospitals, and so the time off from work is when they focus on their hospital. So that gap causes a major problem for the average Liberian, for the sick population, right? So how can we impact that sector? Well, it would benefit the government to find a program where you can get retired or available doctors on the weekend to virtually work with hospitals. And then in return, you reward them with probably a ticket, a 2-week vacation or accommodation or something. You can do the same thing with education. You can do the same thing in health. You can do it in many different sectors. So we are devising these types of exchange programs where you give them something and then they provide needed services, at a minimum cost. So those are some of the things that we're doing, because this concept of diaspora cannot be a one-way effort. It can't be that residents always expect to receive from returnees. It has to be that we give and we take. For example, the dual citizenship, that's a give and take situation. The right to vote outside of Liberia, that would be the next biggest step, because think of the impact. If you're sending a fiscal year 2024, remittances were close to $800 million. Verifiable central bank statistics. You can research it online. Close to $800 million. Only remittances, and that accounted for 26.5% of our GDP.
For the average person listening out there,
All right.
Explain what remittance means. So that
It's all the fees. It's only the fees from the money your brothers and sisters and family members around the world that they send to Liberia. Right? So they send you the Western Union, the MoneyGram, the RIA. You collect it. There are fees that are paid. Now those fees and all the money that they're sending you, the people calculate it, and it's over 800 million. That money impacts your economy because it comes here, it's spent here. So if all of that money is coming here, and that money isn't coming with strings tied to it, that money isn't coming with political instructions. If you get this amount, you have to do this, you have to. So that money is coming clean to help your country. What I'm saying is, it's only that monies are being calculated, right? And it seems so significant to us. What if we're able to calculate all the other things people in diaspora could do? When you come here, how many of them build houses? How many of them build homes? How many jobs are created when they build homes? How many of them come here and get into small, medium enterprises? How much do they invest in those small to medium enterprises, right? What impacts are they having? How many jobs are they creating? We need to have a matrix to capture all of these things beyond remittances. And we may find out that the diaspora is impacting close to 40 or 50% of our GDP. And so if you have a group that is significantly impacting your economy to that extent, and they have no right to vote. So that's what I'm saying. It is the next biggest thing that will happen.
It's the natural step to take.
It's just a natural step to take.
Because if they feel more involved, the more they feel the need to invest in something
Absolutely.
that they have a stake in.
Absolutely.
So,
there are more of us coming home, more of us purchasing, more of us building. Why? Because you feel now you belong.
I agree.
Now when you belong and you can impact where you belong, that's icing on the cake. So,
This has been a real good time for me. To sit there and listen to a friend and brother talk so energetically about what's happening and the connection that you're trying to make, I think is critical to the future of Liberia, not just for the young generations, because we don't want to lose them. And as more Liberians come back home, you have people that are educated that can get into the school system, become educators, business people. As you said, when they build homes, you're hiring people to build those homes. You're also bringing people who can come in and stop this habit of normalizing mediocrity. Because people come to this country and have a different standard, even craftsmanship. If you get a master of a craft and he's working with other people, as they see the kind of attention he pays to details, they will start to then mimic that behavior. So, man, my last question is, is there a website in the making of one that exists where it's a one-stop shop, where everything we've had an opportunity to discuss that will lead you into the right direction? Listen, I want to open up a business. I got a website I can go to telling me where to go. That talks about the yearly event. That talks about how people from the diaspora can benefit from your office and the things that you're trying to achieve. If not, is that a planned goal?
Yes, absolutely the plan. In fact, just this morning, we had a technical meeting just built around that. That will be done before the month of January, and I will be traveling the world, sharing that good news and giving that site so that all Liberians can be connected through that site for whatever information you need. All things Liberia will be on that site, including the things you just mentioned.
Okay, you know I'm an IT person, so if you need any insight, man, I'd be happy to donate my time, man. And when you are in the States, I'll host you a dinner, for sure.
I look forward to that.
Let's look forward to that.
I look forward to that.
Great interview, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I forgot, honorable.